Hello and welcome to the WPL 2022 Match Official Guidelines series. We have identified 5 focus areas for the Match Official team. These are the breakdown, space, scrum, lineout, and foul play. This module will cover foul play. Remember, our number one priority as referees is player safety. In this focus area, our key priorities are dangerous tackles, neck rolls, and collisions in the air. It's important that we have calibration around these items because a card can really impact the outcome of the match. Our job is to identify foul play when it happens and apply the correct process to get the right sanction. A chart like this can help us make sure we get to the right answers when we're sanctioning foul play. First thing to ask yourself is, was there foul play? Was there contact with the head or neck? And was it intentional, reckless, or avoidable? What was the degree of danger to the ball carrier? Was the contact direct or indirect? And was the force low or high? Some key words to use when determining your sanction can be low danger, indirect contact, low force, low speed, passive. High danger, direct contact, no control, high speed, leading with the head, shoulder, elbow, or forearm, swinging arm, and reckless. The last thing the referee should consider before sanctioning is, are there any mitigating factors? So mitigating factors can be a sudden height or direction change by the ball carrier, the addition of another player to the tackler zone who impacts the tackle, and an effort to bind or wrap by the tackler but having no time to adjust. So remember, no matter how many mitigating factors there are, only one reduction in sanction will be applied. So this is an example of a simple over-the-shoulder seat belt tackle. The tackler travels in the same direction as the ball carrier, so that's a tackle with low force. This would only be a penalty kick. So in this example, the contact was direct to the head and neck area, but it was relatively low force, so we end up with a yellow card. This final tackle is a good example of one we would consider reckless and very dangerous. We've got a swinging arm direct to the head. It's an easy red card. Neck rolls are very dangerous because the player has their feet planted and torque is applied to the neck to roll the body. In this example, black 7 approaches to poach, and the red player gets her around the neck, right there, and pushes and then pulls her through the ruck. There's no release and no recognition that she has the player by the head. The force applied to the neck area is high, and this should be a red card. In this next example, the French player enters and gets the New Zealand player by the head and rolls her out of the tackle zone. High force is applied, the tackle is completed, and this should be a red card. In the event that a player is grabbed by the head and released, it may be a penalty only. If a player is rolled and then released before the tackle is completed, that may be a yellow card. Challenges in the air have historically not been a problem in the WPL, but we do want to cover it briefly just so we're all on the same page when it comes to sanctioning. If 2 players are contesting for the ball in the air, then it is considered a fair challenge when both players are in a realistic position to catch the ball. This is a judgment call determined by the timing and the height of the jump. You should not consider whether the player has their eyes on the ball or not. They are still liable if they take out another player. If it's a fair challenge, despite how anyone lands, we should play on. Anything that is considered reckless or deliberate foul play should automatically be a red card. The next item we want to cover is the ball carrier and the leading elbow. An elbow tucked against the body and then used to push away from a tackler is not a leading forearm. Running with the forearm extended, as we saw in this example, is a leading forearm. Making direct contact with the head or neck is a red card. A leading forearm that first contacts the chest and then rides up into the throat is also liable for sanction, as we see In this example, should be a yellow card. I also briefly want to discuss deliberate knock-ons so we all have the same expectations around that. So the first thing we have to ask is, was there a reasonable expectation the player could regather the ball? If the answer is yes, then we give a scrum for a knock-on. If the answer is no, then we're going to penalize for the intentional knock-on, like in this example. If it's an intentional knock-on where there's also the potential for a line break, then we're looking at a penalty kick and a yellow card. So the question that the referee has to ask themselves is, was this a line break? For example, here it would have been a line break, and so a yellow card would have been appropriate. If an intentional knock-on happens in a probable try scenario, now we're looking at a penalty try and the yellow card being applied. If the referee believes a player has been seriously injured, they should stop the game immediately. If an injured player is not in the way of the game and the player is being attended to by medical staff, play may continue. If medical staff attending to a player indicate that an injury is serious, they may ask the referee to stop the game. If play approaches an injured player on the ground, the referee should stop the game immediately. Okay, so this concludes the WPL 2022 guidelines. This module covered foul play. Remember, our first priority as referees is the safety of the players. If we ignore foul play, it leads to flashpoints and more reckless behavior. When you have to sanction foul play, please apply the head contact process and use the trigger words that we've discussed throughout this video. Also remember, if you don't have a complete picture on the foul play, the right thing to do is mitigate downwards. Thanks for listening and have a great day.